Hello everybody, how are you? I'm ARTE and welcome to this new episode of Analyzing Fiction. Before we begin, I'd like to announce that these two books are already available in Amazon and both in digital and physical format. However, this also depends on when you are buying them and from where, because due to the pandemic, Amazon is taking some limitations with the printing of books. So it is available on digital format. I cannot ensure that it is also available in physical because I may not be printing. Anyway, the links will be down in the description. Thank you so much for your help. Enjoy the video. Hello everybody, how are you? I'm ARTE, author of the War of Tears saga, and welcome to this new episode where we'll be reviewing We Are Legion, We Are Bob, number 2 for We Are Many. Saved it there. And this is the second book in the Bobiverse trilogy. And even though it's a great book and I really enjoyed reading it, it's not as good for me. I did not enjoy it as much as I did book 1 or book 3. So this video is going to be shorter than most, even though book 3 is going to be like very long, probably. I doubt 20 minutes, but 15 to 18, somewhere there, because it's going to be the conclusion to this trilogy and it'll be my thoughts overall on the trilogy and on the book. So this is going to be short, the next one's going to be quite long. Anyway, let's begin with the POW. The POW for this book is going to be it smells like nothing, so I'm gonna give it a 5. Now we can begin discussing the plot very quickly, and this book takes off directly after book 1. So that is something that Dennis A. Taylor does. He finishes a book very abruptly, he begins a book very abruptly. So he likes to make his things very quickly, very abrupt, very straight to the point, right? And this book deals with the interactions between the Bobs and the others, between the Bobs and Earth, between Bob and Archimedes and his world, which I do not remember. It's Vulcan? I believe it's a Vulcan, or it's another world. I don't remember the name right now. But anyway, it shows the interaction with the Bobs and many other things in the universe, right? This book expands a lot on how big this universe is, even though in book 1 at the end we got hints about the others and we got to know a lot of things about Archimedes and his group of people and his species. In this book we really start to see that this universe is far bigger and that we have far more things to uncover in this book, right? So it is very interesting. I really like how Dennis develops it. I really like how he shows us everything about this universe in such a funny way. It's literally one of the best series I have read in the last year, and I really enjoyed it, and this book is no exception. So it is my least favorite of the 3. That doesn't mean that I don't like it. It is very good. And yeah, I guess that's all we have. We have the interaction between the Bob and the others, which are very interesting. We also have the strains of politics back on Earth, with Riker trying to save them all, Riker the Bob trying to save them all from literally death. And yeah, it's a very interesting story. So I think that it is fair to say that we can get into my review. So we can officially begin talking about my review for We Are Many. See what I did there? And I really like this book. Let's start with the plot. I really like how Dennis A. Taylor manages to control all these different plot lines in such a way that they are interesting at the same time. And I really enjoyed especially the interactions between Bob and Archimedes, Riker and Earth, and all the mood with the others, all that stuff right there. The battle against the others to save Earth, how they're organizing themselves. I really enjoyed that story. Dennis A. Taylor definitely has a talent to craft such a big universe, to craft so many characters, to craft so many situations and keep them interesting. It's a fairly short book, this one. The 3 of them are fairly short, and even though they are short, he manages to juggle all these different storylines in a way that is interesting, in a way that is fulfilling, that he manages to complete and give us his promises. He makes promises and he fulfills them in satisfying ways in such a short time, and it's very cool how he does it, how he manages to to literally organize so many ideas, so many characters, so many plot lines, so many different things. I really like how he did it, especially in this book when we develop more of many of the relationships that we already had are developed in a very, very great way in this book. Now, as for the characters, I will stop in this section a lot more, and that is because the characters are the best of this book. They are really very well crafted, and Dennis E. Taylor really has a good skill crafting characters, because even though they're mostly clones, that most of the Bobs are literally copies of Bob 1, they are all unique in their different ways. They all have their own personalities, their own quirks, their own way of speaking to each other, of thinking, of interacting, of acting with other people, and of reacting to situations. They're all so unique and so fleshed out that I really like how he develops them. I really like Dennis E. Taylor's talent to craft all these characters. And there are characters in this book that are not Bobs. You have the politicians on Earth, Archimedes, the woman scientist in Romulus, I believe that was the planet. I don't remember the names of the planets, there are so many, but I believe that was Epsilon Eridani. That was the system, and I really liked all the characters that appeared in this book. Each of them, even though they appeared for a page or 2 pages or half a page, a paragraph, they were very well fleshed out. They were very well designed. I really like them. And that is something that we have to give to Dennis. He has a great ability crafting characters, a great ability crafting different situations and making them react to those situations so that we get to know those characters better. I really like how he does it, and I really appreciate how great this book was in so short pages. I mean, it's literally barely 300 pages, literally 301, I believe, 302, yeah, 301 pages, and in 301 pages he manages to do so much with his characters. It is truly impressive, amazing work, and I really like how Dennis does it. Now, as for the narrative, this book follows the example of its predecessor. It's all in first person, even though you have a very wide cast of characters. You have many characters, but even though it may be confusing for most, Dennis does it in such a way that you manage to distinguish between each of the characters individually, right? So, for example, each of the chapters begins with the name of the chapter, the name of the character, and the place and year in which it takes place, right? And even though you do not have to read the title, even if you don't read the title of the chapter, you will know which character you are talking about, which character you are reading right now, because Dennis fleshes them out in such a way, like I explained earlier, that you truly get to understand, you truly get to differentiate each one individually. You truly get to see who each character is, how he interacts with others, how his personality, and you get to know him by name and not as another clone of Bob. So the narrative only helps with that, because he develops it in such a way that you really get to know your characters. And I really appreciate all the work that he's done with his characters. It is amazing. And before we get into the execution, I'd also like to mention that most of these chapters take place in different points of time. Not every chapter is in the same year, on the same month. In fact, some chapters occur 40 years after the chapter they go before, right? So you are reading a chapter that takes place in the year 2019, and in the next 2190, sorry, and in the next chapter you have one that is taking place in 2024. I'm just giving examples right here, but you have chapters that do not happen essentially at the same time, and it is that only heightens the amount of respect that I have for Dennis E. Taylor's narrative, because even though the chapters do not occur at the same time, even though they happen at very different points, it's so easy to distinguish between one and another, and you avoid any spoilers. They're so fluently built that you literally do not realize that they are at different points of time unless you are focusing on that. It's as if It is happening on different points of time, but it's so well built that you don't even realize that there are no spoilers, that nothing bad comes out of it. And that's why this book deserves an 83 out of 100. 4 stars. I really enjoyed it. I think it's a very good book. I really liked how it turned out, and that's why it deserves 4 stars. Anyway, this was the review for today. I really hope that you enjoyed it. If you did, please leave a like, subscribe. All the links will be down below if you want to see anything else about CASA ARTE México, Plática Artística, our podcast, and many other things. Thank you so much for all your help, and I will see you later. Goodbye.